Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Short Sports Show. Today is Friday, January 10th, 2014. Got ahead of myself there. And we got a really good episode for today. We're going to be talking about the NFL Divisional playoffs that start tomorrow. And also the NFL Hall of Fame finalists have been announced, the 15 finalists with very good players and coaches and one owner that really deserves to all be in there. But we'll talk about just a little bit. Also, some college football news with head coaching changes and other coaching announcements and things like that. First thing we're going to go ahead and just talk about, we're going through college football, and then we'll finish it off with the NFL playoffs, which is going to be exciting with my San Diego Chargers. And today is actually hashtag Bolo Tie Friday. Yes, Bolo Tie Friday. Yeah. It's a weird thing. Quarterback Phillip Rivers wears a bolo tie. Never heard of him until this past few days. But he's been wearing it for a while now, this few weeks, and it's really nothing to talk about other than it's just a San Diego Charger thing. I would wear one if I had one, if I knew they existed, and I feel like I should wear one actually because it's supporting the team, but that's besides the point, and it really has no interest to most people. So anyways, we'll talk about some college football news. And the main news right now, it's a little bit late now, but, I do my shows Mondays and Fridays. Anyways, Vanderbilt's head coach, James Franklin, which I messed up, I believe, last week's episode, or Mondays or Fridays, I can't remember. But I said that James Franklin was the head coach of Missouri. Totally screwed up there. James Franklin is a quarterback at Missouri. That's why I got confused there. But James Franklin, we were talking about the Vanderbilt head coach, is expected to become Penn State's new head coach. And contract should be finalized Saturday morning. But there are conflicting rumors saying whether he's going or not. But it looks like he will be going. And one thing is, I've never even heard about this guy until this season. Not saying he's not a bad coach or anything. I mean, he's done really good. 3 straight bowl games for Vanderbilt, and recruiting's been really good. They're in Nashville, Tennessee. And the university is obviously a really good university. The thing is, with Penn State, Penn State, even though what they're going through right now is a tough thing, but Bill O'Brien left the team that is really set for the next few years. Even though they're going to go through these, they're in their second year of their 4-year bowl ban, whatever it is, they have a squad that is going to win some games in the Big Ten and for the future. One thing, like what I was saying was, you could hire anybody, really. I understand that what you're going through, it might be a little bit limited, but really it should be just like what people are saying about Texas, that Texas should be able to get anybody. Well, that should be the same thing for Penn State. If I was a head coach anywhere, yes, they're going through that bowl ban, but those 2 years will go by fast because you're still trying to input your system there, your other coaches, you're knowing the players, getting the recruiting foundation set. Those 2 years are going to go by fast, and next thing you know, especially with the team they have, they could still win games. It's not like you're going to just win 4 or 5, 7 games or something. You're going to win more than 8 games every year with that team that they have, depending on the coach's system and whatnot. But really, Penn State should be a place you want to go. But one thing that was really weird, and someone at Penn State wasn't, clearly looking at James Franklin, the head coach of Vanderbilt. CBS Sports reported that on June 23rd last year, 4 of his football players raped a 21-year-old student in a dorm room. Each were charged, with assault, and one of them was actually charged for covering up everything. They pleaded not guilty, except for that one guy pleaded guilty for covering it up. Anyways, we all know what happened with Penn State. Why would you? And this is not James Franklin's fault that 4 of his players went and did that. And if you read the article on CBS Sports, it's still there. And I'll put in the link in the description on YouTube. You can read it, and the writer is not blaming James Franklin for this, but he's saying that Penn State, out of all coaches they could have, any of them that they could have hired, this should have been the guy to stay away from. Now, again, I just want to make it clear, it's not James Franklin's fault that this happened, and he kicked him off the team afterward and all the other stuff. But the thing is, that is kind of like on his record that happened. And with what happened at Penn State, with all the stuff, the scandal they went through, and now that they're having to suffer with now, really, is this the guy you want to have that has his basically in his he has to carry it with him that 4 of his players raped somebody, while Penn State just went and happened. Obviously that happened in the late '90s that Jerry Sandusky raped those kids. It's like, and plus, really, James Franklin is I don't know. I don't really see him as a top coach that you want to go after. Anyways, the thing is it's interesting that someone did obviously research on James Franklin and what happened with the case that 4 of his players raped somebody. It should have just been someone to stay away from. And if you read the article, it makes more sense, and you really look at it and you're just like, wow, Penn State, really do your research on this guy because this happened. And again, it was not James Franklin's fault. That doesn't mean he shouldn't be interviewed for any other jobs, that this should take away anything. And Ryder even says that. And I'm saying that too. I'm just saying, for Penn State, this was the guy to stay away from because of this. It's just a thing that happened and really should stay away because of what happened with your university. So it's interesting, but it does look like James Franklin will be the head coach for Penn State. We'll find out tomorrow morning with all of that. Another head coaching change. Louisville hired Bobby Petrino as their new head coach. He was there from 2003 to 2006. He was 41-9 at Louisville. A pretty impressive record right there. And then obviously after Louisville, went to Arkansas, and then got fired after Arkansas after his little scandal. Went to Western Kentucky, and now is back at Louisville. He also hired University of Alabama Birmingham's head coach Garrick McGee to be the offensive coordinator. McGee was 5-19 as a head coach at UAB. And then former Florida State star cornerback Terrell Buckley will be the cornerbacks coach, defensive backs coach for Louisville. And then also former Alabama director of player personnel will be the defensive coordinator, and I didn't write his name. He was a Baylor's coach from 1999 to 2002, and a defensive coordinator at Alabama and Clemson, and also an assistant coach with the Carolina Panthers. So a lot of things. He just has a really good resume. So he's bringing in some pretty good coaches to help his team out. Obviously, Louisville's losing Teddy Bridgewater at starting quarterback and a few other playmakers on offense and defense. So how he's going to be able to regroup this team in the ACC, the AAC, and how they're going to do. Actually, are they going to the ACC? I think they're going to the ACC next year. So that'll be interesting what Bobby Petrino can do with Louisville and that team. Also, Alabama is to interview Lane Kiffin. Yes, Lane Kiffin as offensive coordinator position. Oh, man, that one is Nick Saban is obviously a smart coach, great coach. We don't need, we already know that. But this is a decision where you're like, you start scratching your head now because, and I feel like maybe Nick Saban's losing it just a little bit. Maybe after the Iron Bowl when he called for that field goal, and then we all know what happened from there, he might have just lost it. And that Sugar Bowl might have really just helped it, made the case worse. Now, I don't know why anybody would want Lane Kiffin. He was an offensive coordinator for a while, and I don't know. I don't like Lane Kiffin at all. I don't see why Alabama would want to interview him. And, just to see, hopefully it's just something just to, pick his brain or something. I don't know. Also, NFL draft news. Trey Mason, running back for Auburn, will enter the NFL draft as expected. But staying in college is Texas defensive end Cedric Reed, running back Malcolm Brown, and who I did meet at the U.S. Army All-American game, the bowl game. That was awesome a few years ago. Also, cornerback Quandre Diggs, who I really like. He's going to be a stud in the NFL. Probably a smart move that he's coming back for Texas. And also, Ohio State quarterback Braxton Miller is expected to return. I don't know why they said about Malcolm Brown. I didn't know he was already a junior or going to be a senior now. That doesn't sound right, though. Is he really going to be a senior? I guess so. He really doesn't have the stats to be in the NFL anyways. He's not ready, but he's a really good high school running back at Steele High School in San Antonio, Texas, and then going, to University of Texas. I really wanted him to go to TCU. He was a good running back. Also, Florida State tight end Nick O'Leary and running back Carlos Williams will return to Florida State. And Nick O'Leary is actually rated as one of the top tight ends for the NFL draft, but is staying, and you most likely know why. They're trying to, repeat as champions with the quarterback Jameis Winston, coming back for next year. But running back Devontae Freeman and wide receiver Kelvin Benjamin, who caught the game-winning touchdown in the national championship game, are undecided whether they will return to Florida State or enter the NFL draft. Supposedly, Devontae Freeman will make his announcement Monday, but the reason he's undecided right now is because he wants to stay to break Warwick's Dunn's record for back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, rushing yards in a season. That's one of the reasons, obviously, and also to win another national championship. But that's one of the reasons. And Benjamin, I'm pretty sure he's going to enter just because being a 6'5", tall wide receiver, and he's a playmaker, most likely he will go ahead and leave and enter the NFL draft. His decision hasn't been, announced when he will make it. Only Devontae Freeman has decided on Monday that he will decide. Also, Notre Dame wide receiver DeVaris Daniels has been suspended for the spring semester due to academic issues. He is the leading receiver for the Notre Dame football team with 49 catches, 745 yards, and 7 touchdowns on the year. Notre Dame, what is going on with you? You can't get any of your players to just, pass a class or something. I mean, we had this with their star quarterback, Everett Golston, was suspended for the fall semester, missed football season, and also lost a year of eligibility as well because of academic issues. And apparently, I was reading an article that they also lost a basketball player due to academic issues. So maybe NCAA needs to investigate why these players aren't passing any of their classes. You start wondering how many other players maybe on that borderline edge of passing or not passing for Notre Dame. So now that's it for college football. College football is over with. Now the NFL will hit some news, talk about the Hall of Fame finalists, the 15 finalists, some injury news, and then we'll go ahead and, what is that? Yep, the NFL Divisional Playoffs, what is left. Washington Redskins, though, hired Bengals offensive coordinator Jay Gruden, not John Gruden, Jay Gruden, as the head coach for the Washington Redskins. And check this out. Dan Snyder is the owner of the Washington Redskins. In 16 years, he has hired 8 different head coaches. 8 different head coaches in 16 years. That is terrible for the Washington Redskins. Oh, my goodness. I know he's the owner, so he can't obviously be fired because he's the owner of the team, but this guy needs just to stop making football decisions because this guy is bad. Now, I think Jay Gruden was a smart hire. What he's done with the Bengals offense, especially in the 3 years that he's had with Andy Dalton, every year offensively, statistically, it has gone up every single year. So this guy obviously knows what he's doing and should be, really good to help RG3 and Alfred Morris, Pierre Garçon, everybody on that offense. The Redskins should get a lot better with this hire. Defensively, there's some rumors that not Raheem Morris. Oh man, is that his name, Raheem Morris, or am I thinking of the Broncos safety? I think I'm thinking of the Broncos safety. Anyways, the former Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach got fired just a few years ago. Not the guy from Rutgers. Can't think of his name. Unbelievable. Anyways, he is the defensive backs coach for Washington Redskins and is supposedly going to be promoted to defensive coordinator for the Washington Redskins. And I know his last name's Morris. I just can't think of his name. Anyways, that's the guy. I'm sure you guys know who I'm talking about. But one thing I want to talk about is the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, sadly, I like the Bengals just because of Andy Dalton. And the reason I like Andy Dalton is from TCU, big TCU fan. Sadly, his playoff, record and stats are, terrible. And it's sad to, see that my Chargers were the ones to start getting this thing going and how bad he played. But obviously, I'm happy that my Chargers are in it. Sorry, Andy Dalton. But the thing is, Marvin Lewis, the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, has been there for 11 years as the head coach. 0 playoff wins. 0. In 11 years, he has not won one playoff game. He's hosted playoff games. He's been on the road for playoff games. Different teams, different quarterbacks. Not one win. So, that gets you thinking, why is he still the head coach? Now, he is a good head coach for regular season. He's basically Marty Schottenheimer. Can win in the regular season. Has good teams. But when it comes to the playoffs, just can't get it done. Just can't win. And it's sad because Marvin Lewis is a great coach. Just can't win in the playoffs. And obviously, it's the players sometimes making mistakes. I understand. But in 11 years, you have not won one playoff game. There's no excuse for that. So about the Bengals, they might be losing everybody because there are rumors that defensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals, Mike Zimmer, might be leaving to become the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings or the Tennessee Titans or maybe even the Detroit Lions. Most likely the Minnesota Vikings is where I could see Zimmer leaving. So that means they just lost their offensive coordinator and might lose their defensive coordinator as they become head coaches. Then you're like, well, now we're losing some people. They also have some salary. They have a really good salary cap for spending players, but they're gonna. I know what Michael Johnson, defensive end, he's had the franchise tag on him and wanting a longer deal. AJ Green is running into his last year of his rookie contract. So is Andy Dalton. What are they going to do with them? Well, obviously they're going to keep AJ Green and hopefully they keep Andy Dalton past next season. With Marvin Lewis, it's like maybe you should also just clear house. Try to keep Zimmer, but if you can't, get a new head coach and start working on that because you still have a good team. You still have a team that's going to make the playoffs, especially in this AFC North division that's very weak right now. You're still going to make it. So get a head coach now. Get something going because, I don't know. It's just 11 years, no playoff wins. How are you still a head coach? Just saying. So that was my little talk on the Cincinnati Bengals. NFL Hall of Fame finalists were announced. The 15 finalists are Derek Brooks, linebacker, Tony Dungy, Marvin Harrison, who should not get in. Marvin Harrison should not get in. I don't care what he's done in the NFL, what he did. I just don't like Marvin Harrison. And also Walter Jones, offensive tackle, played for the Seattle Seahawks. Those are all their first-time ballots. This is their first time being eligible for the NFL Hall of Fame, and most likely Brooks will get in out of that group because it is very nitpicky who gets in. And then the other players are Michael Strahan, Charles Haley, Kevin Green, Andre Reed, Jerome Bettis, who I'm surprised is not in yet, Tim Brown, John Lynch, Will Shields, Arenas Williams, Morton Anderson, kicker Morton Anderson. How is he not in? He needs to be in. Morton Anderson, he played like 20 years? That guy is a boss. And also Ed DeBartolo Jr., who is the owner of the San Francisco 49ers. And if you have not seen A Football Life, the NFL Network, A Football Life on Ed DeBartolo, you must watch that. Oh man, this guy deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, even though he made that one mistake that ruined the 49ers for those several years, and then now they're finally getting it back together. But you need to watch it, and this guy needs to be in. Will he get in? Most likely not, but I really hope he does. They will come back to vote on those 15 players and coaches and owner and whoever else is there. On February 1st, they will vote, and shortly after that, we will find out who will be in the NFL Hall of Fame for 2014 class. But I really hope Derek Brooks, Michael Strahan, Jerome Bettis, Walter Jones. All these guys really. Will Shields, Andre Reed. I like Andre Reed. I don't think he'll get in, but I like him. Tim Brown, just Charles Haley, Kevin Green. I mean, these guys really need to be in. All of them except Marvin Harrison all deserve to be in. Maybe Arenas Williams, maybe not him. I've never heard of him. I know he's a cornerback, but that could just be, biased because I haven't seen him play. Either way, all these other guys should get in, but it's going to be sad to see that some of them will not be in. Seahawks wide receiver Percy Harvin is to play versus this New Orleans Saints for Saturday's game. Hasn't played since when he played against the Minnesota Vikings in November. So we'll see him play this week. But Panthers wide receiver Steve Smith was really disappointed in his practice yesterday, saying that he downgraded himself, where it was just a bad day of practice where he didn't feel right and didn't feel all the way there. So we'll see. I'm sure he's going to play. How much he's going to play or how well he will play is going to be a huge factor going against I don't know. Okay, I thought I put the Vikings. Against the 49ers defense, it's going to be tough. They're going to jam them up there, try to slow them down even more. And obviously the 49ers defense is really good, so we'll just have to see how Steve Smith plays against them. And check this out. So, former WWE superstar and WCW and all this other stuff, Ric Flair will not attend the 49ers-Panthers game. And if you haven't heard why, this is why. Charlotte native, huge fan of the Panthers. And he gave a pregame speech to the San Francisco 49ers when the 49ers played the Green Bay Packers. And because of that, he received death threats. Yes, death threats by the Carolina Panthers fans because the 49ers end up winning that game and now will play the Panthers. So basically that tells me, one, Panthers fans are just freaking stupid for doing that. Two, you've already accepted defeat that you're going to lose to the 49ers because you're now worried about them. So with all of that he's not going to attend the game. And he's a huge, he's really good friends with Steve Smith, the wide receiver of the Panthers that we just talked about. And Steve Smith even got upset about it. Said that the, quote, the golden bridge of friendship or something like that has been burned. Really? He goes and gives a pregame speech to a team that asked him to by Drayden Florence. Or not Drayden Florence, he plays for the Panthers. Or maybe, I don't know. I was reading. Either way, he was asked to go and give a pregame speech to them. That's it. I mean, is that bad? And then coach of the 49ers, Jim Harbaugh, says, is it wrong to have two favorite teams? Is it wrong to have two favorite teams? And that automatically makes him a bad person. He was, questioning that. It's so stupid that the Panthers have to go out that far. And so he's not going to attend that game. And most likely 49ers are going to win. And I kind of hope they win just because of that. Because, really, how dumb do you have to be to do that? To Ric Flair. I mean, it's Ric Flair. It's unbelievable. Alabama safety, Clinton Dix. And that's part of his name, That's not me laughing. That's his name. Clinton Dix, Cyrus Kwanjo, offensive linebacker Adrian Hubbard, will be entering the NFL draft, as well as Florida State defensive tackle Timmy Jerrigan will also enter the NFL draft. And that the defensive tackle for Florida State, that guy might be the next big defensive tackle. That guy is really, really good. I don't know if you guys have seen him in the national championship game and throughout the season. That guy, I believe he wears number 8, is a stud on that field. He's going to be really, really good and should be a top 10 draft pick, top 15 for sure. Jets tight end Kellen Winslow Jr. Just ruining the name now. Just ruining the Kellen Winslow name. Charged with possession of synthetic marijuana. He also, this early past season, served a 4-game suspension for PED use. And he's just going downhill. This guy is just... It all started, he was really good at coming out of college. out of Miami and went to the Browns, was a really good tight end, then had some knee surgeries, and that hurt him, and that made him really slow, really got worse after that, and then just everything started going bad. Different teams would get, cut him, would just play bad, and now just all of this stuff, it's ruining the name of Kellen Winslow Sr., and it's just terrible. But now, the moment we've all been waiting for, and actually making really good time here, the NFL Divisional Playoffs are here. They start tomorrow. First game, the New Orleans Saints at the Seattle Seahawks, followed by the Indianapolis Colts on the road against the New England Patriots. Oh, man. And then Sunday, the 49ers take on the Carolina Panthers. And then the last game, the San Diego Chargers on the road against the Denver Broncos. All right, here we go. I'm ready for this. First, we'll talk about the New Orleans Saints and the Seattle Seahawks going at it. This game is going to be an intense game. And Seattle Seahawks, the thing is, their offense, I don't know. If this was a road game, best believe Seattle Seahawks would lose this game. They would. And I'm not going back on their past because they couldn't play on the road. I'm not going back on that. I'm just saying because maybe I am. Because they are a different team when they're on the road than they are at home. But offensively for the Seattle Seahawks, it's just been, it's so either they're really good or they're really just bad. And the Saints defense has obviously been well improved by Rob Ryan. And what they held Philadelphia Eagles to 256 total yards. Now, granted, the Eagles were, been bad the past few weeks, from week 17 and then the wild card game. They were bad, but just saying the Saints defense has stepped up big time. And the Seattle Seahawks offense nothing about them other than Marshawn Lynch shows explosiveness to me. Nothing. They have some solid wide receivers. Russell Wilson's a good quarterback. But is this a team that's going to put up, 28 plus points on you every game? Not really. Not really. Especially against this Saints defense. This is going to be a very low scoring game. And I'm only saying low scoring for the Saints is because the Seahawks defense is really good. That's the only reason. I mean, I could see the Saints winning, but it's just the Seahawks defense and having the Seahawks being at home. It's a playoff game, and what they did 3 years ago in the playoffs against the Saints with that beast quake, what they call it now, run with Marshawn Lynch, and people are going to be talking about it, remembering that, hoping for that to happen again. And one big run from Marshawn Lynch. I'm not saying it has to be that 86 yards. I'm just saying even just a 20-yard run, maybe even an 11 or 12-yard run. That is going to spark the crowd even more because they're going to know, what could have just happened right there. You know what I mean? So, and what the Saints did, Sean Payton, what he did, he was, painted their practice field with the Seahawks logo. That's not going to give you a road atmosphere right there. That's just stupid. I mean, no, that's dumb. And then he blew out 2 speakers trying to recreate the Seattle Seahawks wrote their home noise. That's okay. So that's still, I guess that helps you with the communication, but it's going to most likely be nonverbal communication. So either way, you could have practiced that without any sound in the first place. Point is, Seahawks are going to win this game. Final score 21-17 is what I got. I could see 24-21, but I don't know, the Seahawks defense, I could see them. But then again, this is, what Seahawks team we'll see is questionable because, this is still the same team. At home, they were down, 21-0 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's not forget that. So we'll just have to see. But I do see the Seahawks getting the victory, 21-17. Second game on Saturday is the Indianapolis Colts taking on the New England Patriots. And in the playoffs, we have seen this in so many years. So many years to bring back memories. But there's just a different quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, and that's Andrew Luck. After they pulled off a 28-point comeback victory over the Kansas City Chiefs at home last week, are on the road against the Patriots. And last time the Colts played the Patriots, it was a total beatdown. Andrew Luck had 4 turnovers and threw 1 or 2 pick six in those games. But obviously this is going to be different. Both teams are better. Somewhat, right? Maybe not the Patriots offense hasn't been better since that last time, but this is a different team. This game, this is what I'm talking about right here. The Colts, who's going to show up? What team of the Colts is going to show up? Is it going to be the team that beat the Seattle Seahawks and beat the San Francisco 49ers? Or is this going to be the team that got absolutely dominated against the St. Louis Rams? And also lost to the Chargers. Not saying the Chargers are a bad team, because obviously look where we're at. But I'm just saying, at that time, people questioned the Chargers. I questioned the Chargers. What Colts team shows up? This is the most unpredictable team in the NFL, hands down. I mean, you can't just beat the 49ers, beat the Seattle Seahawks, and I'm sure they also beat the Denver Broncos, but lose to the St. Louis Rams and lose to the Arizona Cardinals, and both of those losses and some other losses as well. But those two stand out because they were beat down losses. You can't just go and just do that and lose to those teams. So with all that, there's no way the Patriots don't win this game. I mean, yes, you could say the comeback and all this other stuff and how they could still be down by now basically 28 points and still come back. I just don't see that with the Patriots and Bill Belichick, Tom Brady. They're not going to let that happen. They're not going to let that happen. I guarantee it. And especially, that was just bad play calling by the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid. That was just, passing the ball more in the second half than they did run the ball with a 28-point lead. Hello, you're going to lose. So with all that, Patriots get the victory 28-24 over the Indianapolis Colts and move on in the AFC Championship. And I hope the Colts win, because if the Colts win and the Chargers win, we've already beat the Colts. It'll be a lot better playing in a dome than in Foxborough. Just saying. The first game on Sunday, the 49ers and the Carolina Panthers go at it. Last time these two teams played was Week 10 this year, and it was a 10-9 victory for the Carolina Panthers, but the 49ers did have a lot of injuries at that time. That doesn't make sense. Had a lot of injuries at that time. This game, I think, is going to be a lot more scoring in it. Not saying it's a high-scoring game, just a little bit more than a 10-9 victory for any team. But the reason I say the 49ers win this game, one, because there's better talent on that team. But obviously, hard work and dedication beats talent, right? That's, what we always tell ourselves. Well, this time, not saying the 49ers don't, play hard or anything, but I'm just saying 49ers get this victory. And I see a huge collapse by Cam Newton. No Superman today. Or Sunday. Whatever. You guys understand what I'm saying. I just can't see Cam Newton in his first playoff game. And I see him struggling. I see him struggling with Steve Smith not going to be all the way there. And the 49ers defense being locked down. Colin Kaepernick is finally got it going again. I mean, in regular season, he was terrible. Or at least terrible from the standpoint that he was not as good as he was last season. But now he's got it. Now he looks like last season's form. He looks like the quarterback that led the 49ers to the Super Bowl. Not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just saying he's looking like that type of quarterback. Granted, he played against the Green Bay Packers defense. That was terrible. Just saying, the past few weeks, he's been playing a lot better. Against the Panthers defense, Luke Kuechly, solid linebacker, great. But, this is the Panthers defense was a team that lost to the Buffalo Bills, lost some other games, in the last second, but also had some game-winning comebacks. I think they had, 4 game-winning comebacks, including against the Patriots on Monday night. 49ers got this. 24-21 final score. And this leads us to the last game. San Diego Chargers taking on the Denver Broncos. Now, I asked my friend Dimitri, huge Broncos fan, and I know he's listening. And apparently his pregame rituals are to not talk about the team, about the Broncos, and that no predictions of the score, which is fine, and no keys to the game. I wanted to I want to put his input on this game because this is the first time Chargers and Broncos have gone at it in the playoffs and I think in a very long time, and obviously the first time me and him have talked about it. Now, they played each other in the AFC West twice. Both times, the road team won. First game was in San Diego. Final score 28-20. Broncos get the victory. And they had 397 total yards. Then in the last game that they played was Week 15 on Thursday Night Football. The San Diego Chargers went on the road, and I want people to underline that in their head. Went on the road, Week 15, not that long ago, Week 15, to Denver, and beat the Broncos 27-20, and held the Broncos to 295 yards. Now let's go back when they played, and I don't know which week it was the first time they played, but it wasn't that too much, separation from that. 397 total yards for the Broncos in that first game. Then at home, Week 15, they were held to 95 yards or something like that now. 200 something yards. So whatever set the first time, that's what it was. Now I just forgot it. Point is, that was 100 yards less of total offense. So, with all that, Broncos defense, yes, and Broncos overall, and I know my friend Dimitri's paying close attention to this. And I know other Broncos fans are too. They are returning Wes Welker, who's going to be healthy. And a linebacker who I can't remember is also going to be healthy. They are returning some guys that weren't there in that Week 15 game. I'm not ignoring that. I understand. Chargers have been in playoff mode for 5 straight weeks now. They had a win, and they've won 5 straight games because it was win, or if you lost, your odds or your complete playoff hopes were gone. And now I know people are going to say, well, this is a team that barely beat the Chiefs with their backups. But remember what other people were saying before that game. They were saying backups play much stronger than the starters because they want to show they have something to prove, other things like that. So, I mean, I guess that's a little an excuse, but yes, the Chargers should have played better, especially at home in that game. The point is, Broncos, Chargers go at it. Peyton Manning, 0-2 against the Chargers in playoffs. 0-2. And for 8 straight years, but 8 times Peyton Manning has been one and done in the playoffs. Now, last year I was watching First Take, and I'm going to bring up what Skip Bayless said. He said that this season has been basically what last season was. Broncos going 13-3 back-to-back years now, led the Broncos to the number 1 seed. The only difference is Peyton Manning had a record-breaking year with 5,477 passing yards and 55 touchdowns. But the team that he lost to was the 6th seed Baltimore Ravens last year, who had to fight their way into the playoffs, just like the San Diego Chargers. 6th seed fought their way into the playoffs. Has this been a full circle? And also another thing I want to bring up is that the Philadelphia Eagles, this has been a superstition type thing that has happened over the past 5 to 7 years, whatever it may be. Philadelphia Eagles, their home opener, the team that they played, they have lost to, and that team went on to win the Super Bowl. Just saying. And you want to know who that team was this year? It happened to be some team called the San Diego Chargers. Team of Destiny? I hope so. I really do. Am I going to be biased towards this prediction right here? Maybe just a tad bit. But what I'm saying is, don't count the San Diego Chargers out this game. Anybody that thinks the Chargers don't have any potential in beating the Broncos, you obviously don't know anything. And I'm not saying that as a Chargers fan. I'm saying that look at what they've done. They've already beat the Broncos Week 15 not that long ago on the road. And apparently Phillip Rivers is 9-2. And I don't know the touchdown to interception ratio, but I believe it was either 6-2 or 11-2 with that. I know he's only thrown 2 interceptions or something like that. Thing is, he's 9-2 overall in cold weather, and I believe maybe even in Denver, 9-2. Just saying. So, with all that, let's wrap it up right here. San Diego Chargers 27, the Denver Broncos 24. Dimitri, you knew that was coming. You knew I had to pick my San Diego Chargers, and I'm rooting for my San Diego Superchargers all the way Bolo Tie Friday. Hashtag bolt up everything. San Diego Chargers. I really hope we win. I hope we do. And if we do, I hope the Colts win because I'd much rather play the Indianapolis Colts, who we've already beat this season, again, other than the Patriots. Because Patriots, either way, it's going to be a really good game. All playoff games this week are going to be very, very good. I can't wait to watch them. Chargers, Broncos. Man. What a game it's going to be. Anyways, guys, that's it for the show today. I will be back Monday at, let's see, let me check my schedule. 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time, same time as it was today, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Listen on Spreaker.com. Also, you can watch or listen to on YouTube. Just type in the Short Sports Show on YouTube. Also on Facebook, type in the Short Sports Show. Go ahead and leave a like there. And on Spreaker, if you enjoyed this and you want to hear more of me talking about my Chargers or me crying about the Chargers on Monday, you can listen to. Make sure you hit that follow button on Spreaker.com. And follow me on Twitter at @short_sports 24/7. And to hear all my random tweets, especially on playoffs and other stuff like that. But it's going to be interesting. Come on, San Diego. Thank you guys for listening. I will see you guys Monday. I'm either going to be very happy or I'm going to be very sad. So I'm going to think about being happy because hopefully that happens. San Diego Chargers, playoffs, everything. See you guys on Monday.